early September 2005, and Reverend Naomi Paget, a disaster chaplain from California, is deployed to New Orleans, meeting with recent survivors of Hurricane Katrina. She is overwhelmed by powerful, brave, and heartbreaking stories of survival, but one sticks in her mind. Take the man who awoke to water throughout the first floor of his house. Even as he hurried to gather his valuables and move them to the second floor, water flooded the stairs and forced him out the window. He spent the night clinging to a tree in fear of falling asleep and drowning as the water swept past him. 3 days later, he was found clutching the tree, desperately trying to stay awake. Today, on this day in early September, Reverend Naomi is sitting with him, listening to his story. He is afraid. He has no family. He cannot sleep nor eat. The shelter noises startle him, and he is visibly troubled. He weeps as he continues his story and shudders as he reminds himself of the tree. After a while, she asks him what would help him. He needs a hug, she thinks, someone to hold him. "I feel like I need that old tree," he says. "What else can I hang on to, chaplain?" Over these past 19 months, we have been looking for that same tree, something to hold on to, a foothold, all of us, to keep us from being carried away out to sea. Triage is the term for having to make quick, difficult decisions about which wound or which patient to treat first in order to do the most good. There is a relentlessness to our common era we are surviving together, leading me to think about how the relatively new field of disaster preparedness could offer tangible support to us as we adjust to the reality that this is more than a mere series of acute, tragic events. This is a new era of continuing world crises due to climate change, due to the institutionalized infinite greed of late-stage capitalism, which is to say, we won't be returning to simpler times. So, we must prepare our hearts and our spirits for the complexity of surviving through an avalanche of crises. And in the field of national disaster preparedness and recovery, scholars and leaders are trying to move the entire field toward a vision of independent disaster events as symptoms of a damaged whole, a strategy of interdependence. Emergency management offers us checklists, continual hope of post-traumatic growth and adaptive learning, and healing stories of people who have put service at the center of their lives. After reading Max Brooks' 2003 book, The Zombie Survival Guide, and a lot of FEMA and public health pamphlets, I have come to believe we need a spiritual triage system to determine what is necessary to get through our collective world crises. And here's the good news about us humans. We are more adaptive than we realize. Okay, this is the part where you get out your survival spiritual guide to the apocalypse, get your pencil, and begin to write. So this first question, what daily ritual centers you? I also want to ask, what grounds you? This is a time to write down, or maybe make a note and write down later, your unique answer. Perhaps it is a comforting memory. You return to that moment in your mother's arms after scraping your knee, or your living room couch in the house where you were raised, a place where you felt safe and nurtured. Perhaps it is a morning practice. I know of one UUCA member who, when he is struggling the most, will begin his day transcribing poetry. Perhaps it is returning to a water source that calms you, a babbling stream or an ocean of calm where your eyes, then your breath, then your body, and your spirit can rest. Maybe it's a morning ritual of water, cool water with lemon in a glass, or a soundtrack that got you through a dark time in your life. Maybe it is a person's voice that when you hear it, you feel this sense that things will be all right. Whatever grounds you is particular to you. It is special for you. It is part of what makes you who you are. But it helps to name it, to write it down, and to understand it as a central feature of your selfhood, your being. We are all climbing up the tree, seeking safety, seeking something to hold on to. Next, in our spiritual triage, we ask the question, who are your supportive people, your sharing circle? It is good to have 3 people with whom you can be your true self. Share your deepest fears, your anxieties. 3 people who will not judge you, who will know how to listen well. 3 people who you can tell if they say the wrong thing. 3 people who are always out there having your back. 1 is good, but it helps to spread it around. I think 3 is great. And finally, the 3rd step in our spiritual triage asks the question of Sabbath. What is your Sabbath practice? You know, this is a time for reading a lot of Exodus, which I have been doing along with zombie survival guides. For we are wilderness people now, wandering the desert, trusting the manna will appear when we need it, but still complaining as they did in the desert, still grieving and yearning for simpler, more comfortable times. In Exodus, when the people were gathering the manna that would feed the masses throughout 40 years of wilderness, God declined to offer the manna on the 7th day. This was a day for rest. Yes, rest. Even in the heart of ongoing crisis, the ongoing crisis of mass homelessness and confusion, the people were told to rest for a day each week. So shall we all. You can make your Sabbath whatever you want. You can take a day off from social media, a worthy Sabbath. Turn off your phone one day every week. You could take a day off from work of any kind. Just please do this one thing. Reserve one day each week for pleasure. Read for pleasure. Play outside rather than exercise. Tinker rather than work. Stay sexually connected. Wander rather than run errands. Trust me, when you integrate a true Sabbath into the cadence of your week, your home will feel like a sanctuary. Your life will feel more meaningful, more joyful, and your stamina will return. See, love is calling you to take an account of your spirit, for you will need all your resources to get through this era. One way we all have experienced post-traumatic growth during this pandemic is in recommitting to our faith life. If your faith felt casual before, well, it has taken on a new vitality now. I have heard many of you say you really need to make sure you watch on Sunday mornings to get through another week of this. It is the tree you are hanging on to, getting you through the grief, the fear, the anxiety, the exhaustion. My God, we are all so exhausted at a level no amount of sleep can cure. But our faith keeps us from drowning. It is easy to forget we belong to a love greater than anything we can fully comprehend. When rage floods our system because we think of how hard life has become, along with the knowledge that it didn't have to be this way. When we judge each other for taking a risk, or judge ourselves for our feelings of failure. When we grieve life plans that will never come to pass. When we work tirelessly without seeing the end or feeling the affirmation. When we wrestle with our own value, our own sense of worth. These are the moments we must assess and do the spiritual triage. To think, what do I need? What do I need so that I might respond rather than react? What do I need so I might remember my deepest commitments rather than getting pulled away into someone else's fight? Find your solid ground. Beginning next week, I or Reverend Megan will record a 5-minute guided meditation for you. It will be sent out to you early Monday mornings. And each Monday morning at 8:30 a.m., I will be doing the meditation, just in my own home, not in front of a screen, but you will know I am there. I invite you to join me. We will meditate together. We will find our quiet center across distance each Monday morning. You can sign up for a text alert to remind you it's time to meditate. And if 8:30 a.m. does not work for you, you can find another time in your day. But do disrupt your day with time for spiritual connection. Each week, I'll send a new guided meditation. In times such as these, when we are unmoored, when we feel lost and exhausted to our core, well, that is when we need to connect more than ever. This is what it means to light a match in an endless cave. To remember that my bones are your bones and your bones are mine. As Adrienne Marie Brown says, we who are not yet dead are responsible for living fully, with deep reverence for the wide range of emotion in the human existence, shifting from despairing overwhelm back to the visionary center. Our abiding faith in our own adaptation, that's the steady tree, the hugging tree, sheltering us, holding us. And to keep from drowning in the maelstrom, we hang on for dear life.